Alright, in this video we're going to go over how to connect to a database. So I have the file open right now. We're going to write the code to connect to our database. Let me show you the database we are working with. Let me get that out. Okay, so in here we have the database tutorials and then we have the table users. And in this table I have ID, first name, last name, email, and password. Kind of like if this was a login or a profile on a user on your website. So this is what I want to connect to, and let's go ahead and go do that now. Okay, first thing is we're going to need the PHP tags, and we need 4 things to connect to our database tutorials. So the first thing is we're going to need a host name. So MySQL host. And then for me, it's localhost. It's probably localhost for you too. Some are different. You're just gonna have to find that out. But most are localhost. And then we're gonna need a username. So MySQL user. And for me, it's root. And then we're gonna need a password. Now for me, on this, it's blank. I have no password listed. But if you did have a password, say like monkey, you would type it in here. So for me, though, no password. And finally, I want to know which database I'm actually connecting to. So MySQL DB, DB is for database, and I'm connecting to tutorials. Okay, so I have everything set up. Now I actually have to write the code to literally connect me to our database. All right, first thing is type in the @ symbol, MySQL connect, and then it's going to take 3 parameters. The first parameter is the host, so MySQL host, comma. Next is going to be the username, so MySQL user. And then the last one would be the password. Now the reason why I didn't just type in localhost root and the blank password here is that it just keeps things a little bit organized. And if you need to connect to a different database, all you have to do is open up this file and just change the information right here. Okay, so now if I do not connect to the database, what I'm going to do is I'm going to die. And then this is just going to stop the script right here, and I'm just going to write a message to myself, cannot connect. I'll just say cannot connect. That's simple. Okay, after that, and assuming I connect, then what I want to do is I want to select my database. So MySQL select DB, again DB standing for database, and that was tutorials, which I listed up here as MySQL DB. And again, I'm going to die if it doesn't work, so a message cannot connect to tutorials or whatever database you're working with. Okay, and assuming all of that works, what I'm going to do is then display a message to myself, connected to database. Now if I do not get this message, I'm going to get one of these 2 messages up here. And these are different, so I know which one failed. So if I see the message cannot connect, it means that something is wrong here. So here, let's run this, and it should connect to database just fine. So let me open that. So if I click on that, connected to database, so that worked well. Now what happens if I had made a mistake somewhere? So let's say I had localhost I didn't have the L. Well, if I don't have the L, let's see what happens. And should say cannot connect. There we go. So cannot connect. And so then I know if I go back to my code, cannot connect means there's something wrong here. And I go back up and I see that it's the local host. Okay, so all of this is all you need to connect to your database. And remember, if you do not get this message, Hopefully you have one of these two messages. Now, one more thing you can do is instead of cannot connect, you can type in MySQL error. Oops. And that will also tell you that something's wrong. So again, let's say I spelled localhost wrong, and we go back. And now it should give me what MySQL error outputs. So it's going to be something funky, yeah. But notice right here it says no such host is known. It's because localhost does not exist. Or we want localhost, but the file is looking for this, which that doesn't exist. Okay, so that's the how we connect to the database. The next video is once we're connected to the database, how do we grab data from our database?